Hello friends, this is Worm, and it's Monday, which means it's time for another episode of Exotic Recrafting, the series where we take a look at weak, underused, or straight up bad exotics inside Destiny 2, and talk about how we can make them better. And today I wanted to talk about Deterministic Chaos, which is a machine gun that was added about a little bit more than a year ago with Lightfall, and it has seen very little use. In fact, I don't ever recall seeing somebody just using it just because it's good or anything like that. So I figured we could talk about it today. But first, let's talk about what it does currently. So it has two unique perks, Vexadecimal and Heavy Metal. I'm going to read Heavy Metal first, even though that's the unique trait, not the intrinsic, and even though it is the unique perk, not the intrinsic trait. But Heavy Metal states, while holding down the trigger, every fourth bullet becomes a heavy projectile that makes targets volatile on impact. So as you're shooting, every fourth bullet, as long as you're holding the trigger down, every fourth bullet will cause volatility. Then its intrinsic perk ties directly into Heavy Metal. Vexadecimal is what it's called. It states strong against barrier champion, so it's automatically a barrier champion piercing weapon. Great. It says while holding down the trigger, every fourth heavy metal projectile also weakens targets on impact. So what this is saying is basically every 16th bullet, as long as you're holding down the trigger, every 16th bullet will make targets weak. This weapon, it's also a 360 round per minute machine gun. I want to point that out too. This weapon does not strike me as a ad clear or as a lethality weapon. Okay, like the perks, the way it's described here, this to me sounds like a utility weapon. And so when I was laying in bed last night, I was thinking of all these different, lethality things we could add to it, and stuff like that. And none of those really felt right to include on the weapon, but what did feel right is to build into that utility role a little bit more. So starting off with some of the easy changes I would make, first of all, I would give it some stat boosts here. Give it maybe plus 10 range with a catalyst, maybe give it plus 10 stability with a catalyst, maybe give it a faster reload time, maybe give plus 50 reload speed with a catalyst. Like, just give it a catalyst and give it bumps to all of its stats. Its stats are not terrible for a 360 round per minute machine gun, but I feel like they could be a little bit better, I guess, especially that stability, because as you're shooting those those 4 shots and those 16 shots, that recoil kind of bounces up there. Maybe just getting that under wraps a little bit by having a little bit more stability probably could be a benefit to it. Of course, also reloading the weapon is really slow. I think its base reload time it takes a long time. I know that giving it a faster reload time would also benefit the weapon tremendously. But outside of just those stat boosts, I think this weapon is in need of 2 perks. And adding these 2 perks to it, or adding even one or the other of these 2 perks to it, would substantially change the weapon and make it a viable weapon in terms of its utility function. The first perk is going to be Repulsor Brace. This is pretty straightforward. We get this perk on a ton of legendary weapons. We just got the latest weapon to be added with Repulsor Brace is Fortunate Star, which is a bow, legendary primary ammo weapon that you can get yourself basically a free overshield off of. Like, that sounds like a dream come true. So why don't we just have that on this exotic? Like, why not just put it on there and call it a day? Especially because you can apply volatility and weaken to targets, which in turns would proc Repulsor Brace. I think it's a no-brainer for this weapon. But the other perk that I think that's Deterministic Chaos could use is 4th times the charm. And 4th times the charm, of course, it states every 4th precision shot that you land will reload the weapon by two, right? Not from reserves. Like, it refunds 2 rounds back into the magazine. This weapon works on 4s. Okay, every 4th bullet causes volatility. Why not have 4? I mean, 4 times the charm, it works. It just works for me. And it's not flashy by any means, but again, like, this weapon, because you can build into volatility and weaken, like, you can build into the Void subclass. I mean, using it on Titan, for example, Titan with maybe Bastion and Controlled Demolition, like, you can sit there and heal yourself and heal your team for like what is Controlled Demolition, like 90, 80, I think it's 80. Could be 60. Anyways, I think it's like 80 HP. It can heal your fire team and yourself for like 80 HP every time you cause a volatile explosion, which every 4th bullet out of this weapon is going to be pretty frequently. Okay, and so, like, I don't think that it needs any type of insane lethality, like, nothing like rampage or destabilizing rounds. I mean, destabilizing rounds would be awesome to add on top of what it has here. But I don't think that it's necessary. I think Repulsor Brace definitely the way to go. And I think that 4 times the charm is the way to go. And outside of those 2 perks, just increase some of those stats. And really, that's all Deterministic Chaos would need to become a viable option inside of content. And remember, when it comes to utility exotics, these are pretty niche. Like, you're never gonna just buff a utility exotic to the point where everybody just wants to use it frequently. Like, it is very niche. It's very void oriented. You know, you could build in the void kit to make it a monster, but at the same time, like, it's never going to be just a super powerful weapon. And as a heavy weapon, I think that's okay. Like, you know, I don't think that heavy weapons should necessarily be like the most crazy thing in the world that just is nutty, insane, blah, blah, blah. But I think that's, you know, building into their intended function, which this one is utility, would help this weapon a lot. And I would use it, especially if they would reduce Bastion's cooldown. That's for a different time though. But anyways, yeah, with that being said, that's all I would do to Deterministic Chaos. Tell me your thoughts on the weapon. Tell me your thoughts on my ideas. Would you add anything that I didn't suggest? And just, if so, let me know in the comments. Of course, do me a favor, drop a like, it helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content, conversations, debates, discussions, all that good stuff. And do me one more favor, watch the videos you see here on the end screen, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you'll like them. Guys, I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.